Okay, let's make this live. Let's see what happens. Good evening and welcome to the studio this evening, and the camera has come live. That's good. Oh dear. Don't know whether it's going to look any good, but we shall see. I'm just playing about. But I have 3 cameras. Not that I particularly need them for this. And one of them's kind of a real lash up at the moment, to say the least. But we'll see how that goes. I think what I'm probably going to do at the end of this stream is disconnect that camera and reset all the settings, because the whole thing has taken some doing. Oh dear, let me tell you, it's it works. But there's even more stream delay. What am I doing here? Number 4. Yes, number 4. So, yes, it's been somewhat of shall we say, an interesting couple of days. Trying to get what should be fairly simple, something fairly simple working. This camera here. The one at the top right of the screen. Okay, that one up there that my finger is actually pointing at, and you can see where it is a Raspberry Pi with a Raspberry Pi camera. Getting the camera working was dead easy, and then it went downhill from there. I wonder. There's. Yeah, okay. I mean, yeah, alright. That's possible, I suppose. I'm going to play with that maybe afterwards. But for the. And I hadn't thought about that. We shall see, yes. Trying to get it working with OBS. And that's been an interesting time, because I might have been trying to do stuff that I shouldn't have been trying to do. What I was trying to do was, if I remember rightly, for some reason, and it's probably due to this website that I couldn't find, I had the feeling that the camera actually had to broadcast to something in order to broadcast, and it didn't like it when the something it was broadcasting to wasn't available. So because OBS isn't always running, and neither is my computer, and well, nothing really runs all the time, it kind of struck me as I'd probably have a, on the purpose that it had to broadcast to something, I'd have a problem, because the endpoints might not be there if OBS was turned off or things like that. And so I thought, okay, what I'll do is I'll spin up a virtual server, because I've got a machine here that can host them, and I'll put Nginx on it so that it can act as an endpoint, and the camera because the idea might then be maybe to get some more of them. The camera might then be able to broadcast to Nginx, and then OBS can just attach to Nginx, just as it would do normally, just to pull a stream, and then incorporate that in the broadcast. Now that's all well and good. Spun that server up, Nginx compiled with the RTMP module in it, not a problem. That fired up fairly easily. fairly quickly. So then, next thing, Raspberry Pi. Well, yesterday I fired the Raspberry Pi up. The Raspberry Pi comes with an application, Raspberry Vid, which will do video. Works quite nicely. 1080p, no problem. Handles it without a problem. You can even record it. You can send it to an endpoint off the computer. Ish, as I didn't know at the time. So great, I thought. So having spun up the server, RTMP is just a protocol. So I thought, okay, Raspberry Pi, RTMP as the endpoint. Nah, wouldn't have it. I'm still not sure whether it's supposed to or not, but at that point, having spent several hours actually trying to get it to work, it's kind of like, well, alright, how do I do this then? Okay, so I'm not using FFmpeg, but the libraries, AV library. Sort of use that then, so get the camera to stream the data to the console and the console into the AV library, which then repackages it into an RTMP stream, and that's literally all it's doing. Well, actually no, it's changing format to FLV, and I don't know why, because it doesn't like, if I try and put H.264 straight through, I won't have it. It sort of breaks the pipes after a while. Don't really understand why that should be, but anyway, I've not investigated that. So FLV, alright, well, you know, the server quite happily deals with FLV inbound. It can, you know, push it outbound to clients, including to OBS. So alright, fair enough. Then I start, you know, looking at it in OBS, and so we've got a camera delay of 5 seconds. Not bad actually, but it's still 5 seconds. These cameras are sub-second. Well, they were sub-second. And so that made it a bit awkward. 5 seconds is a long, I mean, Switch has already got a long stream delay, so 5 seconds on top of that just seemed a bit too much. There's probably a hair there, but tough. Okay, so how else do I do this? So I'm kind of looking at other alternatives on the intranet, and there is kind of one that was supposedly sub-second. Because I mean, the camera, when you look at the camera output itself using Raspberry Vid on the console output, it's virtually instantaneous. So it is purely, I guess, potentially the encoding, although I don't know if it's encoding and decoding or whatever, or just the actual streaming delay. This is on a LAN, so it's, you know, it's got the full bandwidth the Raspberry Pi's got available to it. It's not got any USB because I'm running, you know, I was connected at that point over the network to it, so it's not like it's running sort of keyboards or things, or so I know the Ethernet's running over the USB, so it's not as fast as it might be, but it's not hanging about. So there was another one which was sort of like it was writing a file out to a network endpoint, but that was going to be really difficult to sort of manage, and that really did need you to start both ends up in the right sequence, otherwise it just didn't work. And I could see that breaking really easily. So the next thing ended up being sort of to, well, I came across another application for the camera, which would actually then broadcast to a local RTMP node server. And we'll try this out. So get that installed, get that compiled, and of course the instructions are out of date and everything else, which doesn't help, but you can sort of get by on Unix, so that wasn't too bad. And get this open. Okay, we're down to about 3 seconds delay. That's better. Well, actually, the other one on the server was anything from 5 to 20 seconds, so it seemed to vary. And 20 seconds is much too long. Can't do anything about that. And using it as a camera, I put my hand here, and then 20 seconds later you see it appear on the other camera. There's no way the cameras would synchronize. I wasn't about to inject a minute's delay into the stream. So I'm down to about 3 seconds at that point, and now I can sort of manage. 3 seconds is just about usable. Nakmui, good. Oh, hey, Nakmui! Thank you very much, sir. That is very, very kind of you. Which reminds me, I ought to get the icons done, shouldn't I? Thank you very much, sir. That is most kind of you for subscribing. Has that appeared on screen? I haven't been watching. I hope it did, but let me know if it didn't, because it should have done. But thank you very much, sir. When was the last time somebody donated to me? 2015, just before I finished streaming. Nobody has done it since I've done this stream. You didn't see it on screen. I have probably messed something up because I have been playing with the configs and getting the cameras all synchronized. You might notice there's 3 cameras. There's this one, and there's this one here. And I've been trying to get this one to work and then synchronizing them all and synchronizing the audio with them, and boy! And to do that I'd be streaming to a local stream server so that I could watch it, so I could check that the synchronization was going, and oh dear. But thank you very much, sir. How are you doing anyway? It's a pity that didn't come up, and I've just suddenly thought I probably won't hear it now because I've been playing with the audio configurations as well. Because that's desktop audio and I don't... yeah, I'll have to watch that one. Thank you. So now I've got another job to do. I've now got to play about with the desktop audio because the stream alerts, the sounds for the stream alerts, come out of the browsers on OBS, which go to the desktop, but the desktop doesn't go out on the broadcast. Ah dear. This is getting rapidly complicated. Because I've been trying to not get... Well, actually, what I've been trying to do is sort the audio out, because you might notice the audio is hopefully a lot better now, and you can hear me a lot better above the music. And that took a bit of sorting out, and to do that meant playing about with audio configurations and things like that, and that allowed me to separate the music that's playing from the microphone so that both of them are can have their own levels, and I can actually have music playing here on the speakers at a different volume to what you're hearing. Does this all sound complicated? That's because it is. It's something that should be really simple if you kind of think about it. I want to plug this into there, and then just mix them together. And nah, it doesn't work like that. I will see if for the next stream I can get it to pop up, and then I will pop it up on purpose for you. But again, thank you very much for the subscription. That's absolutely wonderful. Right, so I'm still fascinated by the fact that I've actually got 3 cameras. It was something that sort of came to me a while ago that I ought to be able to use a Raspberry Pi camera, and eventually I've managed to do so. I'm not sure it was worth the trouble of doing it. I probably should have just saved up and bought another webcam, but yeah, it's kind of been one of those sorts of days though, trying to get that working, and then it's amazing how time suddenly passes. And I looked at the clock on the bottom of the computer, and so I said 10 past 7. I'm like, I've got to make tea, and then I've got to eat tea, and now I've got to broadcast. Oh dear. And I am completely thrown. Ah dear. To the point where I'm thinking, what on earth am I doing? And shouldn't I actually be doing something else? It sort of feels, just at this moment in time, feels like I ought to be typing something on a keyboard or something. Ah dear. So I hope you don't mind me doing magic dots, but it's a project I need to finish, and this one's got an awful lot of dots, along with some of the other things. But I'm kind of trying these days, or just recently decided I'm going to try and get projects finished. A lot of these sort of odd ones that are laying around the place, that for one reason or another I sort of started and just haven't got around to finishing them off. Like the pyrography for Theo. That'll be probably, when I finish this, or maybe I'll swap to doing the pyrography, because I'm not sure people particularly like watching me do this, although it is a really nice chill thing for me to do, because I can do this and I can talk quite easily, and I can do it without stopping. Because I do, as you know, I do have a habit of stopping whilst I'm doing things, and stopping what I'm doing whilst I'm talking about. Maybe it'd be a good idea. Thank you very much, Nakamui. Bravo. What for? Unfortunately, at this moment in time, there's an extra 3 seconds of stream delay, which makes it even a little bit more difficult. Not on top. That's on top of the Twitch stream delay. There's 3 seconds because this camera's rather slow. So all the others have to be synchronized to it. In fact, I've got, so this camera's synchronized to that. That one's synchronized to that one. The audio's synchronized to all 3. But I think whatever the bravo is for, I think I should be saying bravo to you and thank you very much. Tell you what would, because the thoughts never occurred to me. What do you think you would like for the I keep saying icon. Oh dear. I cannot remember. You know something? I cannot remember the name for them. Because as an associate, I get for each level of subscriptions, I get one thing. It's a thing that I can't remember the name of, what this thing is, and I've been thinking about it for a couple of months now. I just can't think of anything that really kind of represents the stream, because I do that much. and I wish I could even remember what these things are called. You know what? It's gotta be Sunday evening, hasn't it? It's gotta be going back to work tomorrow. And it's gonna bug me, you know. It really is. What on earth do you call these things? Oh, I'm gonna give up. These things. I really have to think about them because subscribers have got to be able to at least have the option of using them. But at the moment, there's no option because I don't have one made. But I just cannot think of something that is suitable. If I was doing the same thing all the time, then maybe it becomes a bit easier. But I don't know. Right. Mind you, perhaps I ought to just mention the fact that there's something happening work-wise this week that's coming up, which means that I'm not going to be able to broadcast for a couple of weeks. Sorry about that. So my last broadcast will either be Tuesday or Wednesday, I think. I'm not quite sure which, for a couple of weeks, and then I'll be back again and back to streaming. But just some things work related that is going to stop me for a while. Flight of the Marlin. Sounds like sorry, I'm reading the Pretzel Rock things there. It sounds like Marlin should be the name of a plane. Yes, so if anybody wants to know anything about making Raspberry Pi cameras working to OBS, well, I know a lot more now than I did 2 days ago. And it does actually work. After a lot of fiddling about, and I figured having spent 2 days trying to make it work, I ought to at least have it on the stream, which is what this camera is here, this one that I'm sort of pointing at, this top right hand corner. This camera is the Raspberry Pi camera, and not actually a bad picture either. I'm not sure there's enough bandwidth though, because if I move it, it doesn't respond well to being moved. The picture is somewhat pixelated until things catch up, but otherwise it's not a bad thing. But I would probably say to anybody is it's probably cheaper to go out and buy a webcam than it is to try and get a Raspberry Pi to do it for you. It's probably actually worth it, even if you've already got the Raspberry Pi, just in terms of the amount of time it takes to get it all working, and the fact that you kind of have to close things down properly as well. You're going to log onto your camera to shut it down. At the moment I have to log onto the camera to start it up, but that bit I can solve. I suppose I can solve the shutting down bit as well, and if I back up the memory card, then I can even just turn power off, and if the memory card gets corrupted I can just rewrite it. But I really ought to sort of put a button on it that sort of says, yeah, shut down, shut my cameras down after the broadcast. Starting up, that's easy enough to do, and get them to start up and start sending stuff out, but actually it's proved to be an interesting sort of thing, just to even prove the fact that, you know, using something like that, I can get the output into OBS. It's a completely separate computer, and the output is going into OBS. And one of the things that's interesting to me for is the possibility. I keep mentioning the fact that I'm hoping later this year, and it's getting later at the time, but later this year, maybe, or now it may be early next year, to do a flame working course, just a one-day sort of thing, taster type thing, to see if I actually like flame work, glass blowing in other words. And if I do, then the intent is to maybe set up a studio. And that won't be here in this studio, it'll be somewhere safer. Well, somewhere where having an oxypropane torch running will be less problematical than in this studio, shall we say. Safer, safe is how you make it, not inherently by where it is. So, and if I do that, then I'd quite like to stream doing that. And there is no way on earth I'm going to pick up my current computer with its 3 screens or 2 screens or whatever to take it out to another location with a studio for glass blowing. So I was kind of trying to think of ways in which I can get around that problem. I mean, one of them is put OBS on a laptop, perhaps, if a laptop will do it, and I've got yet to try that, because I've got some old ones around here which might or might not work. And possibly even put OBS, which is the broadcasting software, maybe run Linux upon one of these laptops and see if it'll run Linux. Don't know if it will or not. If it will, then I can possibly take that out there and use that with the cameras, with webcams. Because webcams are not, well, they're not cheap, but they're not expensive, you see what I mean. I haven't said which. I mean, an HD webcam is still sort of up towards the £100 UK. What's that be? About $140, something like that. And even sort of the cheaper, smaller ones like this one, which is $720, I think, off the top of my head. They're still sort of £30 or £40. So it's not necessarily a cheap option, but it is an option. But if the laptop won't do it, then I'm kind of stuck. Except if things like it's interesting that with the Raspberry Pi, for example, being a standalone computer, it could then, broadcast an image out. If I have the streaming computer still in here, but take a couple or 3 Raspberry Pi cameras out there, then they're broadcasting. I can always pick up, use something like a Raspberry Pi or something with a microphone attached to just do the capture and stream that as well into the broadcast computer that's in here. Controlling it, I mean, I can even do scene switching because there's remote controls available, even if the Stream Deck wouldn't work, although there are techniques for extending the USB, or something like VLC, for example, the virtual desktops. So I could use a virtual desktop, for example, to control the stream, or I can use a variant of the Stream Deck, or I can use a laptop with remote control software for OBS. And that would allow me then, to have sort of inexpensive, in quotes, cameras, yet still have the full OBS capabilities that I get with the big machine in here. So it's interesting. Now, Kamui, I'm sorry you have to go. Thank you very much for dropping in, and very much for the subscription. That is absolutely fantastic of you. Have a great night. Hope I'll see you on another stream in the future. But bye bye. So yes, so that was something that I was thinking that, with a bit of luck, and maybe I can use Raspberry Pis for that. And one of the things about the Raspberry Pi that's here, or the cameras, or one of the cameras for the Raspberry Pi, is it's called a Noir, or the Noir, because it has no infrared filter in front of it. A lot of cameras, this one, that one, lots of cameras have an infrared filter, so they filter out infrared, which is sort of infrared. You can't see it. Heat signatures, these sorts of things are infrared, but sort of just below visible and just above, and above heat. But normal cameras filter those out. But this particular camera module here doesn't. So what it means is, for this, for example, what you can do is you can use infrared LEDs to illuminate a scene. So effectively, when they are kind of it's invisible light, but the camera can see it. So you can have it operating in the dark, for example. That's how a lot of these security cameras work. They have cameras which are capable of receiving the infrared light, and they have infrared illumination devices, big LEDs type of things, and you get a grey image. Usually you can sort of see quite well, depends on how much light that you actually generate with your infrared LEDs. But the other interesting thing that you can do with them as well then is you can, if you put a visible light filter in front of the lens, then all you get is infrared light. And I'm kind of thinking that hot glass is a lot of infrared light. So I was kind of wondering whether or not that would work really well with flame work to sort of give you a different perspective on the actual glass work, because when you put glass in a oxypropane torch, it glows bright orange because of sodium from the sand, which is all the silicate, whatever. It's sodium, which is originally from however glass is made. Say sodium silicate, isn't it? Which is sand, anyway, I'm not that much into chemistry, but it glows bright orange, and normally you wear didymium lenses, is it? And you put them in front of cameras as well, which filter out that sodium yellow, excuse me, and lets you see things. Well, I was kind of thinking about taking that one stage further, sort of almost letting you see heat. So not actually an infrared camera, the FLIRs, the forward-looking infrared, which just give you a low-resolution picture. This is sort of higher frequency, so it's hotter than that. But it was, I don't know, it's just an idea I was playing around with. I don't actually happen to have any infrared transparent visible light filters, otherwise I'd kind of try one. It's easy enough with just a flame and to try, but not something I've got around. But it was just an idea that I'm playing with, I was thinking about for that. So that's sort of an extra thing on top of the ability to just carry, a Raspberry Pi. It's almost easier, with a Raspberry Pi than carrying. So even if you're carrying 3 of them, 3 Raspberry Pis, rather than sort of a laptop computer, 2 or 3 cameras, control unit, and all this sort of stuff, is rather sort of a lot. The only issue then would become wireless bandwidth, because where I would intend to have the studio, I don't actually have a link. A bit short-sighted at the time then the power cable was put in. I didn't put an Ethernet cable in as well. I'm not about to bury one now either. So I could actually use, I was also thinking about how to actually get that connection out there. And I could just broadcast, use a wireless connection straight into the house, but it probably would be better with a local node. And I can always create a wireless bridge, but I was also thinking about point-to-point wireless, or even maybe doing Ethernet over power wiring perhaps, because you can get 100 megabits easily, 300 megabits sometimes. And essentially, since I can get at literally at the two endpoints, that probably would be a good idea. Might even be better doing that. And possibly then do things like power over Ethernet, but using power injectors to power the Raspberry Pi. That way, then there's only one cable. That was the advantage of the wireless as well. There's only one cable. Your power cable can be a lot more flexible. Interesting thoughts. At the moment, it's sat just over there, sort of taped. Well, the camera's taped to a tripod handle to put it in the right position, and the Raspberry Pi is just sort of balanced on the end of the cable, connected to Ethernet and to power. Because of course, the other thing is, you never find a Raspberry Pi power supply when you want one. You know you have one. Like, I'm sure I've got one around somewhere. Couldn't find it. Can I find it? No, can't find it. And I know I must have one at least, because of what this was connected to. Well, another one I've got over there, but it was on the back of a screen. The screen was acting like an electronic picture frame with a clock on the bottom, and I know that had a power supply. But I have no idea where that power supply's gone. So at the moment, this Raspberry Pi is connected via standard USB cable into an Apple iPad power unit, because that'll supply 2 amps, which is enough for the Raspberry Pi. Oh, does all this sound good or complicated? Yeah, I'm sure it does. Oh, it's one of these things that it sort of feels as it ought to, it is really simple, but actually when you start explaining it, it sounds really complicated. But yes, I was kind of a little bit excited to have the camera working for the stream. Of course, I come to start the stream and I realised that I had the OBS configured with this camera at the top right of the screen, plastered right over the middle in a different size. So I've got to then restructure the scene to put the camera up there. I mean, put the camera up there to move the logo, because it's kind of a bit silly to have the camera and then obscure the picture. And then, having moved the logo, I then realised that I'd still got the streaming to my internal server so that I could watch it back. And that's no good, because of course I need to stream to an external server. And I suppose I could have set the one up, but that would have added even more stream delay, and I'm not broadcasting to 2. I'm not allowed to do that. To 2 services, so, or not to 2 if one of them includes Twitch. So I had to then put that back in OBS, but switching it back in OBS, and I find that OBS has wiped the stream key, so I had to go to Twitch then to try and find my stream key, which I could not find. Went to all the menu items, and I know it's on one of them, but I couldn't find it. And then eventually I went to something like the streaming apps, because at the top of the streaming apps was this thing that sort of says you'll need a stream key to find your stream key. Click here, click there, and it goes to the settings where I'd looked before and couldn't see it. To get the stream key to be able to put that into the configuration for Twitch, for OBS, so that it actually broadcast to Twitch. And I did remember to press start. Yes, I did. I sort of severely changed the configuration of OBS this afternoon whilst I was trying to get all this stuff to work. Stopped it automatically recording when I press start, because there's no point in recording the tests. No point at all. But then the danger is I forget to put the recordings on when I broadcast, which luckily I haven't. although I can always download them from Twitch within a reasonable period of time, of course. But I then lose the multi-channel recording, which is I've just got working, and having just got it working, why do I want to lose it? Ah dear. 4, yes. So it's been that's sort of a scrabble then just before I started streaming to actually do that, update all the stream information and send out the usual tweets and actually then go live. At which point I realised that I had forgotten to start Pixelbox up, so it was silent. So I started Pixelbox up and I'm getting no sound at all. Now I know I'd set sound up so that OBS gets its own feed of sound, and actually I could see OBS was reacting to it, but I couldn't hear it. But I know I'm monitoring that, so that I can hear it, so I can have music as well, so it's not dead silent here. I'm listening to the same music that you're listening to, I'm just listening to it at a different volume, and the two are independent of each other. And I'm completely puzzled at this point. Why is OBS getting music and I'm not? And then I thought, after a couple of minutes of puzzling this out, I kind of realised, hang on a minute, I've got my headphones plugged in, which I'm not wearing, because I had to put them in, because whilst I was trying to do all the stream syncing, I was getting feedback. And of course it's wow, wow, wow. I don't know if you've ever heard that. That's the slow feedback. And as you turn the volume up, it gets and the delay gets less. It starts to get to the point where you get howl. So streams with long stream delays don't tend to get howl round, but you do get an echo. So if I said echo, 10 seconds later you'd hear echo, and then another 10 seconds echo and echo until it dies out. But if you get the timing right, the first echo that comes around with sort of a high sound level tends to reinforce the next one that it hears, and you can actually then get this oscillation. So to stop that, because it's really hard to synchronize sound when you actually don't know whether you're listening to the echo or the original or whatever, I had the headphones plugged in, so I could listen to them and watch the video and go, they're not in sync. Could do with a clapperboard for doing that. Makes life easier. I was using claps because speaking isn't very good, because it's again the synchronization on speech. It just doesn't. At best, it looks like it just isn't quite right. But it's really hard to actually get a perfect sync. It's a lot easier with a sharp sound, so like a clap or even a click of fingers. But you need to be able to see the sound at the same time that you hear the sound. So you need something like a clap, but in front of the camera, and that's actually quite slow, relatively speaking. I mean, it's about, a clap is, you can go from there to there and back in a frame if you clap quite fast, which you need to get sort of a loud crack. So even if you record it at 30 FPS, for example, or 50 FPS, it's one. You know, you can miss it basically. Getting the frame timing right then is a bit awkward. Click is harder to see because you can't actually see because when you click your fingers, it's generally that finger hitting your palm that makes the click. Not when you let go, so there, it's when it hits, which also makes it a bit harder because you then got to go frame by frame looking for that. Clapperboard would be nice and easy because that's the idea of a clapperboard, is you get the visual for the camera of when the two jaws actually hit, and you can look through frame by frame until you get that point. And being wood, it generates a louder noise, so it doesn't have to be as fast. And the crack from the audio recording, because of course in studios and things the two are separate audio streams that don't come from the cameras. They're two that have to be synchronized, hence the clapperboard. With the time code on it, usually that's just for easier synchronization. That allows two or more cameras to synchronize very easily, because you just look for the time code on the same time code on both of them and go, that's a match. They're then synchronized. So a clapperboard, a mechanical clapperboard isn't actually that hard. Maybe well, I don't actually have to synchronize audio all that often, so. Having said which, I've done it about 4 times in the past week. How are we now? 21. I'm going to go on for a bit longer, of course, because I did start late. But I now do have another job to look at after this stream as to why the stream alerts didn't come up for Nakamuri's very, very kind subscription. Oh, come on, thank you. If anybody's got any ideas of just what sort of view would be a good one for doing something like this for this other camera, let me know. I'm kind of, for some things I can, well, a couple of things I was sort of thinking about, it would make it quite good to use if, just to doing something like a handheld quick, have a look at this sort of thing. To be able to pick it up and point it at something, which is not easy to do with either this one or that one. Just because it's kind of fiddly, and we can, using the Stream Deck, I can turn well, I can actually not turn the Raspberry Pi off, but I can turn the video streamer for it off. Which was sort of one idea for having that extra camera. So if I wanted to sort of show you something about this that's really kind of hard, because I can't easily go over there now and say zoom this camera in, which actually won't anyway, because it's actually reading 1920 by 1080, so it's virtually its full resolution anyway. I'm starting trying to work with that one and then put it back to sort of be a face cam in the right place. So this having a roving camera was another sort of idea. But so for odd roving needs like that seemed like it might be quite useful. But having it sort of just around displaying something all the time like it is doing now, I don't know what's going to be, if I was going to use that, would it be a good, what sort of a view would be good? As I say, for this, it's maybe not great. I mean, it's not like, my hand's in the way or anything. When I'm doing this, you can see quite clearly what I'm doing, and this camera probably gives a better overall view. But well, maybe if I was doing something like carving, for example, it would maybe look at it from the opposite perspective, so that if I'm doing something like this with a carving chisel, so you can't actually see with the main camera, that one that's over there, as you can sort of see, that one that's over there at the moment, top right, can see something that this actually can't. And if I sort of arranged it a little bit better, shall we say, for that, it could maybe get a view from the other side of the desk, so that when I'm sort of obscuring one camera, the other camera at least gets a view. I don't know, it's a sort of something to sort of think about. If anybody's got any ideas, then feel free to let me know. Well, actually, necessarily at this moment in time, as I think of the best way to use it. Now that I've got the capability, and it's not actually sort of as probably as 100% flexible as I was hoping it might be, just because of the stream delay. Then I'm not quite as sure about using it as I was. There's only number 4s around there. And it's kind of like, I mean, I'd be able to sort of pick it up and show you detail about it. So, but I'll set some scenes up, of course, maybe to switch that camera through onto the big one, or switch them around. Not sure whether that's switch scenes or switch elements of the scene. Because I could have, I could, for example, have this camera, which is set up there at the top right. That's kind of an element, a module within OBS. No reason why I can't have the same one twice, with it just not being displayed, and then sort of display it and undisplay it, which I can use the Stream Deck for. Or whether I do a complete scene switch, so from one scene to another scene. So much possibility actually with things like OBS. There's sort of different ways of doing things, which I am sort of realizing now over the past few days, just because of things like setting up the audio, which and the audio plugins, which I've sort of started exploring, and then this camera, if you like, as a plug-in network camera, and then sort of the elements that allow you to delay and synchronize everything to produce a decent, a synchronized output. Because I mean, one of the things I was keen of doing, which is, I mean, you're seeing me do this as I do that. What you should see and aren't. Those two cameras are supposed to. They were synchronized. They're not anymore, but they were. It's now a lot faster. There's a good second or two delay. Now then, what I'm trying to do is just that one and that one. That one. And what I'm trying to do is just get something in both cameras that I can see that when I do that, they're not synchronized anymore. Ah, dear. I'm kind of wondering whether that means the voice isn't synchronized as well. But without listening to that coming back, I'm not sure. Before I started this stream, all three cameras were synchronized. I could do that, which shows up on all three cameras, and do that, and they would all react together. Now the camera that's got the longest delay, which is this one, is the one that's being faster. These two, which were synchronized together and were previously synchronized together, currently aren't. In fact, which one's fastest now? Yeah, there's what, about a quarter of a second between these two. Oh well, I give up. One of the things I'm not going to do is go around synchronizing cameras immediately just before the stream. That's too much. That is too much work. If I was streaming for 12 hours, it might just be worth doing. But when I'm not streaming for 12 hours, it certainly isn't something that's worth doing. I'm not quite sure though why the two original cameras aren't staying in sync with each other. I can understand this one because of the network buffer, you know, the buffering on the network and things, but that's a little bit irritating. Oh, there's some fours down here. Okay. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish these fours. Before we stop the stream. Which seems like a good idea. So peel that back. You get all the ones over here, didn't I? I think so. Right, let's see if we can motor on a little bit with these. And get this section, or this particular number done tonight. Shouldn't actually be too long. It's actually rather surprising how quickly it does. You do get through them, even though you don't necessarily, you seem to get through through them rather quickly, and you seem to do a lot, but then you don't seem to have done a lot when you look at it afterwards. Even though it's sort of, you look at it and you go, I've done that bit, that bit, that bit, that bit, and it sort of feels like a lot, and then you look at it in the overall terms of the picture and you don't really see much difference. Alright, you're going to be a bit awkward and not turn over, aren't you? Alright. Well, you will eventually, I know that, because I will force you to do so. You will bend to my will, you little dots. I know you think you can bend my will to yours, but I will win in the end. It's alright, by the way, talking to dots, these dots like that. You'll know it's not alright when they talk back. And they haven't done that yet, so I feel I'm kind of safe for the moment. Let's get rid of that one. Oh, which is just split apart, because that's why I got rid of it, because it wasn't split apart. It looked like it was a faulty one, but take it out of the tray and it immediately splits into the two units it's supposed to be. So I'll come down that edge there, and then that'll be it for this colour. Are you going to split? Yes, you are. Put a few more in there. You see what looked like a lot suddenly become not a lot. I don't know whether tomorrow night maybe to do the pyrography. Kind of could, when I would like to perhaps try and think about is an art form that I can do fairly quickly. So I can get a piece done in an evening, for example. Which of course is what the chainmail do. Maybe what I ought to, well, some of the chainmail. One I'm working on at the moment, micromail. That doesn't get through that quickly. I mean, that's about 1 inch an hour. Just because of the number of little tiny rings that are used. But that's another project that I want to see if I can complete as well. Plus I've got some ideas I want to play about with as a micromail band. So that's something else that gets done on stream, by the way. If you, Mr. Lamatastic, thank you very much, sir. Sorry, I'm busy yakking away without actually looking, and unfortunately it's not popping up on screen, and I'm very sorry about that, but I do want to say thank you very much for doing it. That's very much appreciated, thank you very much, and I'm sorry it hasn't popped up on screen. That's something I need to take a look at. I've been playing about with the OBS configurations and maybe I've messed something up. I've been trying to get an extra camera working, but yeah, thank you very much. Hope you have a wonderful night's sleep now. Thank you very much. That's really kind of you. And I still can't remember the names of the badges that the subscribers can use. But if you think of one that you think you'd like to have for this channel, let me know, because with me doing so much I cannot think of what would be a good one for the channel. Okay, ciao for now, and again have a really good night. Thank you very much for doing that. I'm glad I stayed broadcasting for an extra 15 minutes now. Nice to see you. Wouldn't have seen you otherwise. Right. That's been a really good day then, with Mr. Lamatastic there and earlier Nakamui with subscriptions and an extra video camera. And pity they have missed up the subscription alerts, unless that's no, it can't be Streamlabs, because Streamlabs is actually telling me on the screen that that's happened, so it must be something that I've messed up. And I will definitely have to sort that out. That cannot go unnoticed on screen. It has to be. It has to be made to come up on screen, does that. Alright, so let's get a bit more of this out. Just a little bit, because then I'll throw what I don't use away rather than trying to put them back in that bag, but because there will be plenty spare. This is almost doing it in time to the music. Oh, I lost timing now. But for a minute then I was in time with the music. That's the nice thing about doing things like this, where you don't need to think too much about you know, am I doing this in the right direction? Is the wood going to split? Am I applying too much heat? It's a nice thing to do as sort of something just to chill out and relax with, because you know, you can do this without having all of those sort of worries that you get into with some of the other crafts, and just sort of, I won't say mindlessly put these down, because you're not, but you know, you can do it with, you play those sorts of games like doing it in time with the music and things like that, which you wouldn't never even consider doing if I was doing pyrography or carving or anything else like that. You know, the music is something you almost tune out rather than tune into. I'm going to need to get a few more out. Not many, there's only about half a dozen there to go. I'm not going to be precise, that's that many that I've got out. Ow! I'm saying ow, and it didn't. Nothing hurt me. I just stuck my hand to the material. Which is not something I intend it to do. I mean, I don't want to disrupt the sticky. You know, I'm trying to keep my hand off of it. I don't want to contaminate it, reduce the stickiness. Because if I do that, it means these dots don't stick as well, and they might fall off, which would be very good. I am going to be, aren't I? Yeah, I'm going to be one short. It would be like that, wouldn't it? There are three, and yeah, I could sort of cheat and not bother putting one in the place, put a different colour in next time, but you know what, I'm not going to do it like that. Come on, turn over. You're not going to win. You are not going to win. You're going to turn over, so you might as well do it now. There we go, told you would. Right, one more dot. I shall get one more dot out. Can I get one on its own? Yes, I can. There we go. But you need to turn over. Come on. Come on, that's it. Thank you very much. Right. Last number 4, I think. So, turn it back this way. So you can see sparkles rather nicely. It'll sparkle even better once we get the plastic off, but not until we've filled all of it. So, any number 4s left that I have missed immediately that I can see? I can't. Generally speaking, you look through for roughly what's the right colour. D. No, I haven't done D yet. And I can't really see any number 4s, 7s, A's, B's, D's, 1s, 2s. Nope, no number 4s that I can see. Oh yes, there are some down here. Okay, so let's do all the number 4s. Get a few more out. Down here at the bottom. Okay. So we'll put these in here as well, which you can't actually see. Down here. Yes, down there, you'll be able to see it now. I'll see the fact that I'm doing it anyway. Right, so that's a there. So am I going to be looking? I was about to say, have I got too many of these out? Because last time I finished, when I thought I'd finished, I got exactly the right number out. Even down to having to get one out just to finish with. I've now just got a random number out, and I'm either going to have. I'm not going to be as accurate, am I, when I finish this? I'm going to have more left over. Bring it closer, I don't need to move my arm quite so much. Oops, also if I try and put down a dot. Sometimes you can't even tell which way they are up in this tray. Generally speaking, the underneaths are shiny and the top sides aren't when you're looking at them in the tray, which is how I'm telling them apart usually, but it's not always the case. Sometimes you can just look at the angle that they're laid at as well, because they're not flat when they're upside down. And those are all upside down. I'm going to have to get some more out. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. So there's 5 left, and I've got I was wondering if it's going to be another one of those where I needed just one, but it's not. I need another 3. Another 3 to finish that. So we'll see if we can get 3 out. 1, 2. Alright, we got 4. Close enough. One, 2, 3. That's it. We'll throw this last one in the bin. I can't see any number 4s left down there, so that's it. Right, so that's it for this evening. I want to say thank you to anybody that's watching, and I'll say thank you to anybody that's not watching, but they won't hear. To everybody that has been watching this evening, even if you're not watching now, thank you for doing so. I am going to remind people of things like down at the bottom, down there, in that blue box, he says, trying to work out where his finger is. She's really hard now with the stream delay, with the camera delay. But down there, on the right hand side, you've got a whole series of URLs there, zaragonart.com, that's my website. It's got some more information about the art forms, not this one, but the ones that we do, and some of the pieces as well, like the pyrography pieces. It explains a bit more about them. There's Etsy there, zaragonart.etsy.com, which is the shop. The website's got a shop on it, it's just has got nothing in it really. I keep having to remember that I will at some point put some things in there, in case you prefer to buy from the shop rather than from Etsy. Because if you buy from the shop rather than Etsy, then I get Etsy's cut. But jewellery, chainmail, if you like chainmail, check it out. And good Christmas presents, Christmas colours as well, red, green, gold, some really nice things done that anything can be done in those colours, by the way. And there's Twitter there, twitter.com/zaragonart. If you want to follow me, I tweet when I go live, I tweet if I'm not going to go live, I tweet anything about new things that's happening on the stream. So it's not a lot, but there's a bit there, there's a steady stream of stuff. Along with Facebook, things get posted there as well, and often a photograph or two, which I do try and tweet, but there's not always. YouTube.com/zaragonart, all the old archive, for over 700 hours, 3/4 of a terabyte of video, from 2015 when I started broadcasting, is already gradually being uploaded onto YouTube so that you'll be able to watch in real time the original broadcasts. Over 700 hours. Whether you'll watch them all, I don't know. Maybe you don't want to. I was watching some of them because I'm uploading them. I kind of have to see them occasionally. The style hasn't half changed. As is the music. But anyway. And what have we got left there? No, that's about all of them, although there is Instagram. You can find me on Instagram. Again, partly because it's a pain in the neck to upload to, but I will put some photographs of the images that we've done up there as well. So I want to say a very special thank you to Nakamura and Mr. Lamatastic who have subscribed this evening, and I'll point the button out to anybody else that's watching up there if you might like to consider subscribing, especially this month. I believe there's half off, so I get all of it and Twitch gets nothing. Good deal to me. If you'd like to consider, that would be absolutely fantastic. Support the stream, goes towards new materials like things like this, or wood, pyrographic tools, carving, wood for carving, all these sorts of things. And finally that follow button up there as well, then you get the notification from Twitch. You'll see me on your screen when you come in and look at following. You'll know when I'm live. That's it. Have a great evening. Look out for me tomorrow night between 7 PM and 8 PM UK time. That's 1800, 1900 hours UTC, GMT. They're both the same. Bit of maths will work out what it is in your own time zone. Bye for now.